Hi, everyone. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Pakafin Storia podcast. The last episode for this year. We're not a very big community yet, but this is the first year of this podcast, and I'm just happy that people came by at all. So, thank you so much for being here with me. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Isabella. I am just a girl. Just a girl. I'm just an observer of this world, just trying to make sense of things. And every once in a while, I invite people close to my heart to discuss some of those observations with me. And sometimes, like today, it's just me. Honestly, I've been going back and forth with with the decision of whether I will do this episode at all. I've poured my heart into this podcast a lot of times, but it's never easy every time. But if you're gonna go all the way, my mindset is always we're gonna die someday. Okay, too dark too early. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to be a big girl about it and share with you all a little piece of my heart. Shots at that. 2025 was a full revelation to me. I did not expect it to go the way it did. I had so many firsts this year. And one of those firsts, if not the most important of those firsts, is making and starting my own podcast. And if you're new here, just a little bit of a summary for why we're here. Early 2025, I discovered so many things about my last partner of 3, almost 4 years. And that led me to befriending his exes, and his exes and I sat together here in this couch to talk about our journey, our individual journeys, and how those journeys sort of collided, how we met in the middle. Because of that experience, because of that crazy, dark, difficult, harrowing experience of my life, it pushed me to create a space like this where I can share my thoughts, my feelings, and my whole heart. And it also became a space for other people to do the same. Friends who are so close to my heart have joined me in this couch to share their mind, share their experiences, especially as women. If you told 2024 me that she would someday have her own podcast a year later, I don't think I would be able to wrap my head around that. I did not go into 2025 planning to start my own podcast. I did not think that I would be a creator like this in the very real sense of the word. Like the opportunity opened itself up basically to me because of the experiences that I went through, because I had a huge and important story to share, a story that I felt was valuable to myself, to the girls that I was here with, and to the girls watching, not just girls, but everyone. Not only that, but this year pushed me to create so much more. In October of this year, I put together a little film. I don't know what genre of filmmaking it is. It's like a vlog, but also a little bit of a personal documentary style thing. It was me dismantling old love letters and old things that were shared between myself and my last partner, and I made found poetry out of it. More than that, I was creating even more. I was writing again. Not a lot, but at least I was writing again. Writing is my first love. I was singing a lot this year. I guess this year, 2025, is so meaningful to me because I was basically pushed by my circumstances, by my emotions to create, if only to make sense of all the craziness that was going through in my head. I was pushed to create more for everything that I went through to have a point. Does that make sense? Di ko ganahan nga tanan akong giagian kay walay point. Walay padulngan. 4 years in a toxic relationship for what? I wanted it to mean something and I wanted it to have some positive lasting effect onto my life and onto other people's lives. The reason that I'm sentimental about how 2025 was such a creative year for me is because I finally get to do what feels good for me without thinking of whether there will be applause after. Have you guys ever heard of gifted kid syndrome or gifted kid burnout? Kanang star child, kanang bata nga nagdako nga always honor, always awardee, eventually mo abot og college or mo abot og adulthood nga lugmok na. Dare I say depressed and feeling like walay point ang hard work because for what? At least the way I experience it, that's how I can describe it. In short, ang batang masipag paglaki pagod. I was very that. I was very the studious kid. I was the if there was a kid in class nga may nga mga teacher nga kana siya kay mo na siya ang presidente sa Pilipinas someday kay it was probably me. I showed a lot of promise when I was young. Growing up, I thought nga it's the lane that I belong in. Studying, answering questions correctly, performing well in class. I think what made me stick good in that lane is also the fact that when I was young, everyone was put in categories. There were the pretty ones, the rich ones, the funny ones, the talented ones, and I know it wasn't real. I know the pressure wasn't real, and I know that I had all the freedom to explore beyond academics, obviously, but as a child, you don't know that. You only know the rules of society based on what circles you're in and how they operate, how they perform. I felt like I had to choose a lane. I wasn't the rich one, wasn't the pretty one. I was also kind of chubby as a kid. And if you're growing up in the early 2000s, you're constantly surrounded, like in the media, in magazines, and even adults around you are always constantly reminding you that you don't look like the girls on TV, the girls in magazines. And I don't blame anyone for the way that they spoke or the way that they behaved because that was the only thing that we knew at the time. We didn't know another way to think, we didn't know another way to live. But I'm not gonna lie that it affected me so much as a kid. I was so aware of my body as a kid. I had such deep cuts as a kid when it comes to body image. Kaya ganing ingnan ka nga, okay na baby fat pa man na, malanay ra na igdako. So, syempre, aware ko of what I looked like. Looking back, I was actually so cute. There's nothing wrong with me at all, but when I was young and living in that body and in social circles that made me aware of my body that way. It's hard. That's the reason I worked hard to be academically excellent. It's the lane that I chose. It's the lane that I thought that I could do well in. That murag mo akong laban gani. From childhood to teenagehood, even up to college, being academically excellent is what got me the applause. It's how I made other people happy. It's the source of the validation that I needed, that anyone needs. I didn't have any concept then yet of what external validation even was. When you're a kid, when you're young, external validation is just validation. There's no label, there's only the good feeling of being validated, and so you're not actually aware in the moment that it could potentially ruin you if you depend on it. So I lived on that. I lived for the applause. When I was in third year high school, I was watching a lot of early days. I was here in the early days of YouTube, and I was watching all these creators make their little films. This is the era of Ryan Higa, Wong Fu, and I was so inspired that in one of the first days of third year high school, when you were asked what we wanted to be when we were older, I said I wanted to be a filmmaker. I was so sure of myself. And then months after that, I was invited to try debating competitively. Eventually ended up representing the school during debate tournaments, and I was so close to I was so close to pursuing an artistic creative path, not the academic path, but I was just sucked into it again because of the external validation that I would get in debate. So then I would end up debating for 6 years. I would be told that I had potential to do this, potential to do that. It feels good, you know. I can't blame myself, and I don't blame anyone who would also feel the same way, but it feels good. As a young girl, I would think, nga, this is probably what I should do for the rest of my life because it's what other people say I'm good at. And it feels good to be good at something, to feel valuable at something. And so I ended up doing it the next for 6 whole years of my life. I struggled a lot, failed a lot, lost a lot of rounds and tournaments, but I somehow got better over the years. I had a great debate career. I did quite well as a debater. I was doing what I was good at, and I was performing in ways that would get me some applause. But when I was 18, I experienced real proper depression for the first time. I think when I was 18, that was the very first time that I became emotionally, mentally, and even physically aware of just how tired I was from all the years of performing for the applause. At that point, I finally felt like it was pointless to do well if I wasn't happy with myself. And it was so difficult for me because I think that I presented myself as the mature one, but I was not mature enough at all to handle and process these thoughts by myself. I was not. I was not. Far from. Pag debut ako, during my 18th birthday, I had this big birthday party. All my friends and family were there. And everyone was happy. Everyone had a good time. Everyone was drinking. And then I ended up becoming so drunk. But I wasn't happy drunk. I was supposed to be happy drunk because it was my birthday, but I wasn't. I was sad drunk. I ended up on the bathroom floor with my nice outfit and my nice makeup and my nice hair all ruined because I was crying and I had my friends around me. One of my friends reminded me of this moment, and I was really down in the dumps that night. And she remembered nga a couple of my friends said out loud, "Why are you sad? Why are you depressed? You have so many awards. You have so many accomplishments. You should be grateful. You should be happy about that." While I was literally on the bathroom floor, falling apart, these people still said those things to me, thinking nobody would remember years down the line. And they didn't understand it then, my friends. We were all 18. And maybe I was the first one to ever express the manifestations of that to them, to the point where they would experience it themselves later in life. Later in life is when they would understand why I was the way I was when I was 18. Since then, I fully U turned away from the path that people expected me to take on. And I attempted doing many, many, many other things in between. I think from age 20 until now, I was just trying. Doing this and then doing something different the following year. But yeah, that's gifted kid syndrome for you. I didn't have any external harmful pressure around me. My parents never yelled at me while studying. It was never like that. It was never negative. It's just what I did because I wasn't shown or exposed to another way of being. When you're a kid, you don't really know how that would affect you later in life because my brain is so used to processing so much information. I would sometimes end up imploding, overthinking. I know that I'm speaking from a point of privilege and I'm grateful for the education that I got, but it's also real that because I stuck to my one lane of academic this, academic that, I also ended up becoming unhappy in the process. I didn't explore my creativity as much as I should have. I didn't explore my physical awareness as much as I should have. I wanted to dance. I wanted to sing. I wanted to. When I was 14, I was so sure I was going to be a filmmaker, and I was sucked into the academic lane back again. I bring this up, my gifted kid burnout experience, because this year in 2025, I truly feel that the gifted kid in me is gone. If I was still her, I would feel embarrassed to have put so much hard work into something that's important to me only for it to be received by such a small audience and sometimes even nobody. If I was still her, I wouldn't have done all these things and I wouldn't have taken all these risks because she would not have been brave enough. She would feel cringed out by herself. She would try to hide those parts of herself away for nobody to see. But because I did all that, because I started this podcast, because I made those films, because I put my heart and soul on display this year, I'm not that girl anymore. I'm not her anymore. The one with the gifted kid syndrome. I'm not afraid of failure anymore. I'm not afraid of being cringe anymore. I'm not afraid of what people have to say anymore. My only fear in life is that my inner world remains unwitnessed until I die. The length of my life is not up to me, it's up to my creator, the author of my life. But what I can control and what I am responsible for is for my life to be witnessed, for my inner world to be known. I'm responsible for living a life that makes a mark on this earth while I'm here. I don't want to be picked up from this mortal world and have all these ideas go with me. If I'm around, if I was allowed to be around, if I was allowed to be born, and if I was created for a purpose, then that purpose has to be known and lived. It doesn't matter to me how my life is witnessed. It doesn't matter to me if it's received by many different people in many different ways. I feel that people will only truly see you based on how they see themselves. But I just want to be able to say that I was here. I was here. I was really here. And if I was still her, if I was still the girl who only lived for the applause, I would not have been able to do this. I would not have been able to say that I was really here in this world. Because I would not have shared my heart like this. I would not have shared my life like this. I would have been too afraid of what people might say and what people might think. But because I'm not her anymore, I put what I think of myself first before what anyone else thinks of me. That mindset has cost me some people who are not in my life anymore. That mindset has pushed me to remove myself from spaces that I don't belong in and that don't make me happy. And that mindset directed me to what truly makes me feel more like myself. And with everything that I went through, with all the power sucked out of me from living in a toxic environment for years, I believe that I deserve that. I deserve that and more coming from me. I deserve that from me. I deserve the way that Isabella takes responsibility for herself. And because my gifted kid burnout is over, I get to do that. I get to show up for myself that way. I get to do this podcast. I get to make films the way I did. I get to sing. I get to dance if I wanted to. I don't need to be good at all of it. I don't need to be good at all of it because I'm not the gifted kid anymore. I don't have to feel pressure to be excellent anymore. I can just enjoy. And I have enjoyed. The projects that I put out into the world are far from perfect. There is so much more that I have to learn, but I'm happy that I started at all without the pressure of things have to be perfect. I feel that I've healed that toxic perfectionism out of me and just got things done. The next one is always better than the last one, and that's better than perfect all the time. I learned that this year. And I'm so proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for doing what I did this year. I don't need the applause anymore. It's not the applause of the crowd that I'm listening for, it's the applause of myself. The only person that I'm really doing it for. And for my creator, my director, my author, my designer, my audience of one. So if you were here with me this year, thank you so much. Thank you to the girls who were here with me on this couch. And thank you to everyone who has taken the time to watch the episodes of this podcast this year. Thank you to everyone who also watched all the film projects that I put out into the world this year. It means a lot to me that you would be here with me. Honestly, it does. Another thing that I also realized is this part of my creator's journey where I literally only have a handful of people watching my content is gonna be so important to me in the long run because it's quiet. Now that it's still quiet, I just get to be myself. I get to listen to my instincts. I get to explore who I am as a creator because of the peace and quiet of my little community. When I make it, and I will because I'm insane, when I make it and my audience grows larger, I'm gonna hear many different opinions about what I should do, what I shouldn't do. And because I have this time in my creatorship, this intimate time where I can just be with myself, I get to really know myself. And when that time comes, when I get all these opinions about what I should do, I can just go back to this emotional space that I'm experiencing right now where I truly know myself. And I get to ask her this. I get to ask this version of me what she thinks. Because she knows me. Because she's the one that started all of this. And so she'll always be the one person guiding me through the rest of where this journey will take me. And so I will never lose myself. I know that I will never lose myself because I have her. I'll always have her. Thanks everyone for spending your 2025 with me. I hope you had a great 2025 as well. And if there's something that you can take away from this episode, it's to start being who you are. I know it's such a motherhood statement, but do the thing that makes you feel like yourself. If you want to start a podcast like me, if you want to start writing, start painting, start dancing, start singing, cooking, anything. Do the thing that moves you closer to the version of yourself that truly, truly, truly knows you. Because you have to know her so she can do her job of keeping you rooted into who you are for the rest of your life. I have her now, and you deserve to know yours too. Thank you, everyone. Hope you had a great 2025. See you next year for the next season of the Kafinsteria podcast. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and turn the notification bell on to get notified about my next releases. I appreciate you all. Thank you. How to do this. I love you. See you next year. Thank you. Bye.